Hello, welcome back. So today I have another exciting little unboxing. And I am waiting on Kickstarter decks, and so I'm hoping eventually I will do some unboxings. That sounds like not a word, unboxings. Anyway, I'm hoping to have some videos that promote and show newer decks and not just old, out of print, hard to find decks. At any rate, what I have today is a first for me. So I have done a giant mega haul, which you can definitely go back and watch. Also, it was a very exciting little excursion for me in the middle of quarantine and everything else. And I found some amazing decks there, but I've never bought anyone's entire collection before. And I was on eBay, and I saw this collection. It's 12 decks. They shipped them to me in a Lady Comfort with an Attitude shoebox, which I'm gonna tell you that if that is not the ugliest sandal I've ever seen. The collection was on eBay. The person posted it for like $600, and a few days went by. I watched it, even though I was never going to spend $600 on it, because I was interested to see what an entire collection might sell for. A couple of days later, it disappeared. Like, it wasn't in my... It said ended, but I think the person just removed it. Then, a couple of days later, it popped up again, and this time it was like $400 starting bid, and so I watched it again, because I thought, okay, whatever, I guess we'll see what this is. And then a couple of days went by, and again, it showed that it was ended, even though it was not ended, because there was no buy it now option. And then it popped up for a starting bid of $100, and I thought, okay. And it was like the shortest time I've ever seen a new listing go. It was literally like 24 hours. So I don't know if the person was just sick of dealing with it, or wanted to get rid of it, or I don't know what the circumstances were, but they removed it 3 times and then finally listed it at a starting bid of $100. Well, I think what helped me in this little endeavor is that people were watching the original listing, and then it ended, and then it got listed again, and then those people watched it and it ended. And I think that it threw a lot of people off, because they were probably thinking, well, shit, I don't need to worry about it because they're just going to pull it down again. So I think it was a combination of they didn't have a full 6 days of it being up, and the people that were watching the original one may not have had a chance to catch that it was relisted again. So the day of the bidding came, and I bid $250 because I thought it's 12 decks. When I show you the decks, you'll see that it was really worth the $250. And then someone in the last minute bid $255, and so I thought, I'm gonna bid $260. If it's meant to be, I'll get it. If it's not, then I won't. So I ended up getting it for $260, all 12 decks. I don't know what that breaks down to for each one, but so I'm just going to go through and show you the decks that I got. So the first one is this. It's called the Tarot deck. It's in like a not great box. I feel like it must be some kind of little knockoff deck, because it's not like, well, you'll see. It literally looks like, firstly, the cardstock is like beyond thin. Those are the backs, but it looks like just a photocopy of a Marseille deck. Like, can you see the border? Like, if you cut the border off, that would be the original card. So, on top of it not being like the best quality, it's also not a very beautiful deck. So, womp womp, pass on that. And then there was this little Egyptian deck that I have definitely seen before. It's majors only, but like, I don't know how to use it, but like, still cool. I'm sure someone will want it. And then a Lenormand that I actually have, but I have a different edition, I guess, because the cards are not rounded. Mine are just square. And the book is not a little book like this. It's like a regular, meaty, like bound book. So that was a cool little... I was glad to have that, even though I don't read Lenormand. Oops. But it's still a cool deck. This one is one that I have seen several times and have been interested in, but never enough to like actually buy it. And it is the Stairs of Taviglione? Taviglione? I don't know. Fuck. I'm doing the best I can. There are the backs. It's a cool deck. I don't know the story behind this deck or anything like that. It is a fully pip deck, but like, they're pretty pips. Like, the art is cool. So there's that. And then there was an Aquarian, which has a different shade of blue than I've ever seen. It's not quite as saturated or like royal blue colored. It's like more of like a soft kind of Parisian blue. So I was glad to have that. And then the one JJ Swiss, which I believe is a first edition. Sometimes it's hard to tell with these, like specifically the AGM decks and stuff, but just based off of other AGM first edition decks that I have, I would say this is a first edition. It's really papery, but like wonderful cardstock. The printing is beautiful. The backs are so cool. Like, they're this plaid, but they're like, sometimes they look peachy to me, sometimes they look orange or more yellowy. They're just like, they've got this little blue stripe. They're just so cool. The Egyptian tarot deck, seems to be a theme of Egypt. This deck is not a deck that I particularly love. And it's a little plain looking. It is the second edition, which is cool. But it's hard to read. Also, the person who had it before wrote on it, which is like not ideal, but they wrote just like the astrological associations, which might actually be kind of helpful for people, to kind of like, they don't have to worry about doing the dirty work because it's already done. The Spanish tarot, which is actually, again, I don't read pips, but of all the Marseille decks that I've seen, this is actually one of my favorites as far as color is concerned. I really like the that added like magenta-y purple color and like the soft rose like on the neckline. And if I remember correctly, let me get to some of the pips. Like, look at this star, just like fully over it. Like, it looks like she spent all day having that blonde hair processed And she's just like, fuck this. Like, I'm sick of dealing with this. Yeah. See how pretty that green is? And then, let me see what other colors. Oh, the coins. The coins have this, like, electric green color, which is just, like, so nice. And then the swords are this, like, periwinkle and this, like, sea blue. And then the cups, of course, you know, the cups are always my favorite. Well, you probably don't know, but now you know, the cups are always my favorite. And they are this beautiful combination of like lavender and purple and like a citrus, like a tangerine and red, which I just think is such a cool kind of graphic color combination. So very glad to have that deck. These are I Ching cards, which are cool because they have the original little coins that came with them. But I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about this. I know nothing about these cards, except that I see the box for sale sometimes. And then I got the Hermetic Tarot, which is cool because I've never had this deck, but I have been interested in it. And this is a first edition, which is cool. And it's all black and white, but like so detailed. And normally I don't love black and white decks. Let me see. Like, look at that death. That's a really badass death card. Oh, and the backs. Super fun. It is really pippish, but like the pips have got lots of little details and symbols and things to kind of like build on. So it's not like, it's just like a very graphic deck and like very well designed and very well produced, and it feels really nice. And you know, it's funny to me that this is, I'm gonna have to look into this, but so it has an advert card that has 468 Park Avenue South, which means that the deck was from the 70s. Or, I mean, of course it was, because we already said that. Anyway, the point is, that address for US Games is pretty early in the 70s, but the copyright on this is like the full copyright from the 90s, which is copyright 1979, US Game Systems Inc. Like, it's the full thing. Most decks that have advert cards that have the 468 Park Avenue South address have, they will just say copyright, the year, and then US Games, and that's it. They ditch the Systems Inc. And then I got a Morgan Greer, which is cool. This. Little Fitzroy. So the thing about this is, I was very excited to get this blue box because I have some blue box decks, and I was excited to see what the differences were. But I guess this will be a lesson too, that, I mean, if you're going to just blindly bid on an auction, you're taking a chance. And these cards, what I will say is, even though these cards are like belligerently written on, on. Like, there are cards that are just like, the entire card is written on. And it's every card. Every single card has got full-blown writing on it. What I will say, though, is it's clearly super worn. And so I think that this deck was probably the deck that the person who had this collection used to learn to read the tarot. And so, even though it's like, meh, I'll never use it because it's like fully written all over, I still think the deck is really special, and I'll keep it with all of my other decks because it's cool to me that, like, I feel like this just brings it full circle. Like, it makes it real, and it makes the collecting feel like a little more special because like, this was someone spent lots of time, like, writing on the deck all of the meanings and their own keywords, and they clearly used it, like, a lot. It's, like, super flexible at this point, like, very well broken in. And so while initially I had just like a little disappointment that it was like wrecked at that point is what I thought of it, but I'm really glad that actually I kind of like it in the end. I think it's kind of cool. So yeah, that's been my little 12 deck entire person's collection video. It's the first time that I've ever done that. I don't know that I would do it again. I think if I did, it would have to be either like the price was right, or there were decks that I really wanted in it, which was kind of the case here. There were a few decks in here that I really wanted that were worth the price. Or I would need to see pictures of it. I don't think I would blindly bid on an entire auction like this again. Even though it's exciting and exhilarating, and it was still a very fun mail day. So let me know what you think. What would you do? Would you just buy a person's collection? Does that seem like super scary or stupid or irresponsible? Like, how do y'all feel? And thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.